Yeah, my brain was just at a loss for how the quality of the writing could be so high. The story could be so profound here, but the covers could be so utterly bad. That was, however, until I started doing research for this video. Hello, hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Reese, I talk about books, and I am embarking on a journey. I want to read all of Elena Ferrante's books in chronological order when they were published in 1 year. And to celebrate this, I'm just about to get started. I wanted to make a video where I talk about the one thing that frustrates me about Ferrante, and that is these covers. Background on me. I have read the Neapolitan Quartet and one other of her novels. Love her writing. Excited to become a Ferrante completionist. I'm also a graphic designer, and while I haven't designed any book covers that have been out in the world, I have designed many things that have been bought and sold, and so I have opinions about the job of a book cover. And yes, it is true. In the process of researching for this video, originally it was just gonna be me talking about how they don't work and they frustrate me. However, I uncovered an interview that cracked my brain open and gave me new appreciation for these covers and for Ferrante herself. And that is what I'm sharing in this video. But let's back up for a second if you aren't already familiar with Elena Ferrante. She is an Italian author and novelist. Elena Ferrante is actually a pseudonym. She has kept her identity a secret, but she has said in interviews that she was born in Naples and she is the daughter of a seamstress, and I believe she has 3 sisters. The Neapolitan novels, the Neapolitan Quartet, they are a series of 4 books, probably her most notable works at this point in time. They follow the lives of 2 women, Elena or Linu and Lila, from their childhood into adulthood, beginning in Naples in the 1950s. It's a story of their friendship, but it's also about identity, motherhood, class and education, and also basically a history of Italy in the late 20th century. And adding to the core narrative of the story, the friendship between Linu and Lila, is Linu's efforts to move out of the situation that she's born into and would likely remain in, being uneducated, like uncultured in her mind, and basically living a life very similar to her poor family in Naples. There's a whole cast of characters that we meet and follow throughout the course of these 4 books, but it is told from the perspective of Linu, so we're really in her mind throughout this story. And quick note, Elena is the name of the author, Elena Ferrante, but Linu, her first name is also Elena. And yes, there have been discussions and speculations surrounding just how much of the series is pulled from the author's own life. Now let's talk about the book covers themselves. We are, of course, talking about these first edition covers. There have been newer editions with different covers, including an HBO series tie-in version, different versions in different regions. I'll put them right here. The cover of the first book, My Brilliant Friend, depicts an actual scene in the novel, but the other 3 aren't depicting specific scenes. Instead, it's more general feel and topic that they're portraying. So love, motherhood, friendship, things like that. And outside of my general dislike for these, one notable thing to me is that we aren't seeing any faces looking back at us in these covers. I read that this was intentional. The protagonists are meant to be unrecognizable in the covers, like the author herself. Also notable to me is the system that they create. At first glance, they all feel similar. There's a white border, the type on them is treated similarly, and there's a general, use of photography. So they create a series in that way. They feel like they belong together. But if you look more closely, there are some pretty wild differences in the color and the treatment of the photo. The story of A New Name is very desaturated, except for the sky. And the style of images range from like fairly sharp, crisp, and realistic to badly composited and like interesting choices, odd saturations of color. So they kind of look alike, but badly. And that brings me to my initial critique of these, which is that they're bad. Not only are the design rules that the system attempts to create repeatedly broken across the covers, like to a discerning eye, it doesn't work as a system. It's a weak system. And then the actual just overall look is kind of ugly. I know they get a lot of hate online. I know I'm not alone in thinking that these covers are not great. And to be honest, when I was reading these books last summer for the first time, I was embarrassed to, bring them out in public. I was at like a doctor's appointment and the nurse asked me what I was reading, and I found myself coming up with like a story to say, oh, but they're really good. Like, don't let the covers sway you. Yeah, my brain was just at a loss for how the quality of the writing could be so high, the story could be so profound here, but the covers could be so utterly bad. Prior to my research, I was thinking about how I would describe this art style to someone, and the best that I could come up with was cutesy old town gift shop aesthetic. Certainly not like what you would think of as elevated design, and definitely not reflective of the quality of the story within them at all. And as both a reader and a graphic designer, I believe the job of a book cover is to set the expectations for the reading experience, to convince you to want to read the story by reflecting something about what is within the pages, and to entice you. So things just weren't adding up. And then I read a 2015 interview with Sandra Otsola, a co-founder of the publisher and one of the art directors of the covers. And I was shocked to discover that actually the covers are bad on purpose. What? Like, everything I had believed in was just totally turned upside down. Talking about the design of the first book, which of course set the tone for the rest of them, Otsola said in this interview, "We knew the book's title and that it would be the story of a long friendship between women, and that it would conclude with a scene of a very vulgar Neapolitan wedding. The wedding, and Elena's impression of it, is an extremely important moment in the book. That's why I intentionally searched for a photo that was kitsch." This design choice continued in the subsequent books because vulgarity is an important aspect of the books, of all that Elena wants to distance herself from. Yeah. If you've read the books, you know that the character Elena spends incredible amounts of energy trying to move out of the life that she was born into. Lower class, uneducated, uncultured, and she hopes and seeks out surrounding herself with people who are more cultured, more educated, and she feels that she feels conflicted about this for sure. And it's a central tension of the story, as I've mentioned. And then here we are, sophisticated readers ourselves, hating on these covers because surely our taste is better than this. But actually, we are all just Elena Greco. And now I see why these are the way that they are. It makes the slightly off system, the bad imagery, and all of this all the more ingenious. The meta-ness of everything made me appreciate them on a higher level and appreciate Ferrante even more. In the same interview, Ozzola says, Ferrante agreed with our choice to purposefully use low-class images, and she was surprised by the doubts expressed by some readers. We also had the feeling that many people didn't understand the game we were playing, that of, let's say, dressing an extremely refined story with a touch of vulgarity. Wow. And honestly, it makes sense. The Neapolitan quartet blurs the lines between fiction and reality. One of Ferrante's main characters, Elena, is a writer and with the same first name as her, and she's from the same city, and we know that she pulled from her own life to write this story. And now we see the covers of the books as well, by not just depicting scenes from the book or themes in the book, but instead by maybe making us engage in that central tension that one of our main characters engages with herself. It blurs the lines between the story we're reading and the real world in which we as readers inhabit. Anyway, I cannot wait to read all of her work with a more critical eye, and I want like a university level course on her work. If you know where I can get something like that, let me know. Yeah, of course I loved the books already, the Neapolitan Quartet, but this just like brought things to another level. And I apologize also if I've talked really fast in this video, but I'm just like so excited about this and I want to share it with people and I want to talk about it. And yeah, yes. So look out for more Ferrante style videos, maybe as I progress through my year of Ferrante. Happy reading on your end, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!